Taurus, this week carries a strange emotional undercurrent, and I get this feeling something around you is slightly off. It's not dramatic, not explosive, but just enough that you find yourself replaying conversations, and I'm getting this feeling it's at your workplace, possibly rereading emails or questioning small interactions that normally wouldn't bother you. But the interesting thing here is you may feel as though someone's perception of you might have shifted, and to me it feels like an employer, maybe a supervisor, a colleague, and it almost feels like there's several of them working against you, even somebody close to you personally. And you're probably wondering, did I do something wrong? Did I miss something? But intuitively, part of you already senses that it's not about one moment. There's something unresolved that keeps returning to your thoughts. The same concern, the same person, and the same situation looping quietly in the background in your mind. And usually when Taurus begins revisiting something repeatedly, it's your inner stability radar, which has detected movement beyond solid ground. And you're not imagining this tension. You're noticing truth before it fully reveals itself. And I'm getting this feeling that it's possibly that your employer or several colleagues might be trying to sabotage you. And with that said, we will look into this further. And welcome back to Hermit in the Woods Tarot. My name is Matt. If you're returning, it's good to sit together again. And if you're new here, welcome to this small cabin in the woods that somehow reaches souls exactly when the guidance is needed the most. Take a moment to like the video, subscribe if you feel called, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I genuinely enjoy seeing how far this quiet forest space travels. And you're always welcome here to leave questions or themes you'd like to explore in future readings. Many of these sessions grow directly from your reflections. As always, this is general guidance. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Your judgment matters more than any card on this table. And the forest teaches us that growth is rarely loud. Most transformation happens underground, long before anyone sees the result. And that's really what this channel is about. Truth-seeking, reflection, personal growth, understanding what's actually unfolding beneath the surface of life. So Taurus, let's step into your today's energy. Today I'm using the House of the Dragon Tarot deck. And we're working with the Iron Throne spread. This is a 5-card spread designed to show the smoothest path, claiming what is rightfully yours. Whether that's respect, stability, opportunity, peace of mind. The Iron Throne represents power and positioning. Who holds influence, who makes the decisions, and where destiny quietly shifts through awareness rather than force. So let's get into this reading. We'll get 5 cards and a spirit card for the spirit message, and then we'll do 2 clarifying cards. Oh, and if you could go ahead and tap that deck and get your energy in there. And this is for Taurus, general reading. All right. First card up is Queen of Dragons. Next, what fell out is the Ace of Blades, and that is in reverse. Next, we have the Eight of Blades. Next we have the Knight of Crowns, and this is in reverse. And then we need one more card, and that is the Fool. And this almost feels like something diabolical's coming forward, so hopefully we can steer you clear of this. And then the spirit message is the Four of Blades. Alright, we'll stop there and we'll take a look at this reading. So the theme here with the cards I see here, the message is really direct. There may be instability around your career and authority structures, and that would be your employer, maybe manager, and a truth surfaces this week, and something either you overlooked or somebody else overlooked becomes important. And some of you might feel as though an employer or an environment is subtly pushing you out or repositioning you without transparency. So let's look at the Queen of Dragons. And this, to me, is indicating a very personal. The Queen of Dragons carries a mature authority, someone capable, dependable, emotionally steady. And you may already sense what this reading is about. Something unresolved keeps returning to your thoughts because you care about doing things correctly. And this often appears when someone highly competent is realizing that their value isn't being acknowledged appropriately. Career-wise, this could look like increased scrutiny, shifting expectations, or responsibilities changing without conversation. And so I'm getting this feeling like this pink energy here, and it's an emotional investment, but it's also saying that you need to double check your work, make sure that they can't come back at you and say, oh, you did this wrong or you did that wrong. And you need to nurture your next couple of weeks at work. So if you're building something or supporting others, you're now asking quietly, why does this feel unstable? And the Ace of Blades in reverse, this is saying that your instincts are correct. There's something underneath the tree roots that is happening here, and communication feels unclear. Information may be withheld or poorly examined. Emails may be misunderstood. Instructions are changing after the fact. And isn't that how it always happens? You are following to the T the contract that you were given, and then all of a sudden the employer, the owner, comes back and says, oh, hey, no, this is not how we're going to do it this way. Even though that's how it was written on the contract. No, we got to do it this way, and it doesn't matter what the contract says. It doesn't matter what I did. I'm the owner. I'll say whatever I want, and just change it. And even though the customer doesn't like it and wants to stick with the contract, you're probably stuck in the middle, like a usual person, employee, stuck in the middle, and then you're sitting here dealing with all the heat coming down on you. So if that's you and you're feeling that heat coming at you, in the comments say, I feel the heat. But psychologically, this often happens when leadership avoids direct confrontation, and instead of clarity, ambiguity appears. And sure, follow your employer's directions, but also stand up for yourself. If you need to follow that contract and that's what the customer is saying, make sure you're clear and say that. In relationships, this energy mirrors emotional avoidance, someone not saying what they truly feel, and you may already suspect something isn't being communicated honestly. Next, we move on to the Eight of Blades. And here's the mental pressure. You're feeling trapped, but you're not actually powerless. And the Eight of Blades often reflects overthinking caused by external uncertainty. You might worry about job security, finances, or reputation. And some Taurus viewers may feel like they're being watched or evaluated unfairly. And I just want you to notice that this card shows restriction created largely through perception. And you still have options. You're simply waiting for confirmation before moving. And there's this yellow energy that's starting to appear here. And it's awareness trying to break through the fear. And that's where we move into the next card, which is the Knight of Crowns. And this will be your path forward. And this is very important. The outcome here looks different than anticipated. The progress does slow, or it changes direction entirely. The truth will surface, involving responsibility, your workload, or reliability within a professional situation. Something overlooked becomes very important. So again, double check your work, review agreements, review those contracts, follow the owner's direction, but also keep in mind that the customer they're the other half of that contract. So the owner can't just change the contract mid-season, and it should always flow that contract. And so I don't know why owners tend to do this. I mean, you can't change a contract once it's made, or you can, but they have to get the customer to agree with that. But pay attention to the small administrative details, not from paranoia, but from wisdom. And this card sometimes shows systems shifting or employers restructuring roles quietly. And strangely, what first feels like a setback may direct you toward a more stable long-term path. And the olive green energy, which is practical growth through adjustment, it feels like you're going to begin have a new beginning, despite this uncertainty. So then we get into the next card, which is the Fool. And at the center sits this liberation. And the Fool isn't reckless, but you might be considering changing roles, industries, locations, or expectations. And there's something within your current career that's just not jiving, and you're sensing this. And if you're sensing that, it probably is time for a change. You're probably in a toxic work environment, and maybe you want to get out. Some Taurus individuals are stepping into entrepreneurship. Others are returning to education. Others are emotionally detached from the environments that they're currently in because it's limiting to their growth. And so the Fool is a major life transition that lives here. It's relocation, promotion, graduations, and fresh starts. And you're reclaiming your authorship of your path. And that moves us into the Tower in reverse, the Spirit message. And this is powerful spiritual protection. The Tower reverse suggests that disruption is being softened. Warnings are arriving before the collapse. And you're able to adjust and able to maneuver around this collapse and actually build it back up. So if someone has been undermining or sabotaging indirectly, truth begins surfacing before damage becomes permanent. And you're being shown instability early. And spiritually, this says adjustment now prevents crisis later. And you're not being punished, but you are being misdirected or redirected. So astrologically, and the energy expansion that I'm feeling for Taurus is that the energy right now interacts strongly with slow-moving planetary influences that are encouraging reassessment of stability. The earth signs often resist change until evidence becomes undeniable. And seasonally, this mirrors late winter moving towards spring when frozen ground begins loosening. Emotionally, you may cycle between security seeking and curiosity about new possibilities. The Venus energy highlights self-worth, and Saturn-like pressure asks, where are you undervalued? And cosmic timing supports careful preparation rather than impulsive reaction. And right now you're just meant to observe and then act deliberately. And let me tell you this. A hermit once worked as a caretaker for a great wooden bridge crossing a river near the forest. And for years he repaired boards quietly while travelers crossed without noticing. In one season, he began hearing faint cracking beneath the structure, and others dismissed it. The bridge looked fine, they said, but the hermit trusted the sound. Instead of waiting for the collapse, he built a smaller path beside the river. And months later, heavy rains weakened the bridge, forcing travelers onto the safer crossing he had prepared. The danger never became disaster because somebody listened early. And there's a gentle reminder in Proverbs 27:12, the prudent see danger and take refuge. And in James 1-5, or 1:5, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, and it will be given. And wisdom isn't fear, it's just attention. And for Taurus, you're hearing the quiet cracking before others do. Alright, so let's get into the... Let's pull some clarifying cards. And then we'll see where this is headed. And see where what Taurus needs to do, what they can expect. Alright. Give yourself a tap. Tap that deck. Tap that deck. Alright. So the first card that pulled was the Death card. Let's get one more. And this, to me, is feeling like transformation without drama. So you might be okay. And then we have the Four of Blades. Alright, so the Death card is an ending that creates space rather than a loss, and there's a wisdom in what you've experienced. You didn't come this far without any reason, and something concludes so identity can evolve. And then with the Four of Blades, again, prevention over destruction. The forest is teaching us that growth is rarely loud. You may transition away from instability, and before it fully reveals itself, outcome favors awareness, preparation, and calm decision making. You sensed this before evidence appeared, and moving forward, stability returns because you listened. So for Taurus, this reading isn't about sudden upheaval. It's about recognition, seeing clearly, adjusting wisely. Double check your work, and you should be okay. Choosing yourself without conflict. You are not powerless here. You are becoming aware earlier than expected, and that awareness gives you agency. So we will move into your next reading, and your next reading will be March, and this should be out maybe Friday or Saturday. But thank you for spending time with me at Hermit in the Woods Tarot. And if this reading resonated, please like, subscribe, and share in the comments what part spoke to you the most, where you're watching from. Your support truly helps this channel grow. It's my little cabin in the woods, and I love it to reach others. And I appreciate everyone who sits here and reflects alongside me. And until next time, walk slowly, observe carefully, and remember, wisdom often arrives quietly, long before change becomes visible. So take care, Taurus.